Oops. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm about to get started in a few moments. I don't know if you can hear me. Let me just. Is my mic working? Where am I? Settings, audio. Hello, hello. I'm testing. Yep, looks good. Um, so I forgot to test my mic before going live, guys. Sorry. Um, So hello, it's what time is it? 7:09 Eastern time on Tuesday, November 11th. Um, I know I keep saying I'm going to have a stream and I never stream except for my Get in Tune show. So let's take this off because I guess the stream has begun. And I just haven't had time. I've been really, really busy lately. A lot's been going on, and some stuff I can talk about, some stuff I can't talk about. But one thing I will say is this weekend, Saturday the 15th and Sunday the 16th, I will be at Twin Tiers Comic Con up in Elmira, New York. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be my first time at the show. I'm going to have a couple of my books there and some prints and original artwork. I'll be also taking commissions while I'm there. Now, I was getting ready to plan some just, new original art to bring up to the show. And I tend to do a lot of when it comes to original art, I tend to do characters that I love. But I was thinking maybe doing some fantasy art as well. I love doing that stuff. I love cartooning fantasy art. If you guys have seen my Gnome and Goblin piece, it's very influenced by. Sorry, fixing the camera right now. Very influenced by Peo and stuff. I'm a big fan of that. The Smurfs, all that fun stuff. Let me bring the paper up here so you can see, and I'll get a piece of tape. Now, one of the pieces that I was thinking about. So, and the reason I said fantasy art is I number one, I love it. I love to cartoon it. And I was listening to an old Lord of the Rings podcast that I like. I don't even know if they make new ones. I haven't checked it out in a while, but I was listening from the beginning again. It's the Prancing Pony podcast, and I was like, oh, I should do some fantasy stuff. I just got in the mood. So earlier today, I loosely sketched out this this mushroom landscape here. I'll show it to you. And it needs to be a little higher. So let me see. Let me pull out the camera a little bit so you guys can see it better. Let's just make sure it's not looking at all the mess on the other side there. Let's just turn it like so. There we go. So this is the landscape. And what I like to do is, and I'm just thinking of the characters I want to put on here, but I have this really cheap Crayola light box. Let me turn it this way. That's the way I like to draw with it. And what I'll do is I will then put this on. I'll grab a sheet of paper. Like here's a loose fairy idea that I had, right? And I'd have to figure out where she would go. Let's see if I turn off the light, if you could see it better. You see, and then so I'd have to fix it. This isn't a good design for it. But let's say I had that up there, and then I'll take it off after I have it kind of laid out, and then I'll put it on on my bigger light box so I don't bend the paper when I work at a larger size. Who's it? Oh, hey, Dylan. Hey, Andrew. Yes, mushrooms. So I was thinking either some kind of like elves or fairies around here, and I thought that would be a fun piece. And then I'll go in and I'll ink it on 9x12. So I thought today I would I just sketch and play around. I've been wanting to stream, and I just haven't had the chance. But before I actually start drawing, one of the things, I'm going to turn this light back on. One of the things that I really wanted to show off today is I just spent the last week in Florida. Drove down to see some family and my parents down there, and then spent some time in the Disney area in Orlando, hitting up different comic shops. But I went down to the Fort Lauderdale area, and I got a couple of things from Tate's Comics that I really enjoyed. It's only my second time there. And I'll show you off this first. I haven't even taken it out of the plastic, but I've been wanting this since I knew it was in existence. And that means before they even put it together in a book and made it public. I've been wanting this book. I love this version. This is the version of DC I grew up on. This is the stuff I love to look at and copy. So we're going to open it up together and take a look at it just real quickly because I want to get into drawing. And so I'm opening it up here, guys. Hold on a second. Maybe I should have used a knife or my letter opener or something. But it is all good. All right, I will toss that out later. But look how cool this is. I'm not even going to take off the yellow on the bottom yet. Get the plastic off of here. And let's just open this up really quick and take a quick look in this book here. So this, it's just nonsense stuff. So this was the binder I guess they gave out in '82. Little introduction, Paul Levitz. Let's skip the introduction because we just want to look at the art, right? So, I mean, just so cool. Just all this fun stuff I'll read later, and how it was, looks like how it was used. The colors, the Pantone colors that they used for the characters, which you can even, if you want to color this way, if you learn these, you can go into programs like Photoshop and I think in Clip Studio and maybe even in Procreate and type in the codes to get these Pantone colors. You may have to buy a Pantone palette. I don't know. But God, I just love all this stuff here. And they even went back, I think, on some of the licensing today to bring back some of the retro style stuff. But man, I love this. This is my era. My era of comics. Love the Superboy and Crypto there. All the changes. Let's jump ahead. I can go page by page here. We're still in Superman, it looks like a bit. Some Batman in here. Look at these. I mean, even just a copy of the poses to learn from again. God, I love this stuff here. Wonder Woman. More Wonder Woman. Dude, this is fantastic. Shazam, although back in the era when he was called Captain Marvel and was still good. Oh, I love that. I believe I've seen this recently as a t-shirt somewhere. Dr. Fate right there, my all-time favorite character. Him and Superman. And Nightwing. Those are my top three. And then we got to get into the Green Lanterns. And this is awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Anyway, we're not going to look at this book anymore. I just wanted to show off this that I got here. I'm going to be spending hours just staring at this book. The other book I picked up that I'm incredibly excited about, and it's going to be impossible to show the whole thing because it is huge. This is the, what is this here? One of my business cards. Let me see if I can pull out on the camera. Uh-oh. Give me a second. It'll come back on. Is it coming back on? Give it a second. Let me see. Switch camera. Let's see. Is there something going on? It didn't even switch. Let me bring this down. Give me 1 second. Let's what happened here. Did I go too high? Let me just check the wire. Yeah, everything's in. Oh shoot. And I made a mess of stuff right there. Give me 1 second. I'll lower it again. I don't know. This tends to happen from time to time with my setup. Let's see. FaceTime camera. It is not switching. Interesting. Settings, video. Neck. I don't understand why it's all black. Camera on. Oh, great. Don't you just love when this crazy stuff happens? Video settings. Okay, auto. Of course, when I wanted to show you guys something. Oh, 1 moment, please. Okay. Can you guys all still hear me? Video. I'm just going to change webcam, FaceTime. That is incredibly weird. I'm just going to unplug the camera and plug it back in. Give me a second. I might lose sound. Okay. All right, guys, I am back in. I'm a little nervous to touch the camera right now, but in this giant box is something I've wanted for a while. And let me get the chat back up. In this giant box is something I've wanted for a while. And I might have to move the camera again to really show it, but I'm not going to go do the whole thing. And yep, the camera's going to get hit. Let me. This is Karl Barks, and I am going to move the camera a little bit so we can see it. Let's go back out just a tad. There we go. As you can see on here, it says reprint stories from 1943 to 47. Droopy, Benny Burrow, and Barney Bear / Benny. No Disney stories. I paid $100 for this book, and this is supposed to be the actual size that Karl Barks worked on. So we could just, if I just bring it up a little bit. Now, would this be cool if this was all Disney? Absolutely. I mean, I am a huge fan of his Disney work. You know, who doesn't love Uncle Scrooge and, you know, all the ducks and stuff. But let's just pull this out just real quick so I can show you. All right. So it's going to hit again. I'm just going to probably only open up one page of art. Hold on. I'm just randomly opening it up to the middle. Come on. And you could see, I'm going to have to turn it this way, that this right here. So if I got my ruler out, I mean, I don't even know how big this book is here. Where's one of my rulers? You know, you would think you have everything like right next to you when you need it, and you don't. I have a ruler over here, though. I know that. I put them in here. Okay. So, whoa. Okay. So over here, I have got a foot. This is a foot long. What's it called? Ruler. And so we're going to be looking at stops here. So this page is 20 by, let's just do it this way. That would be, so it looks like the paper overall of the book is 20 by 26 open. And it looks like his strip work, let's go to here. I'm going to guess this is about maybe 16. So 16 by, that's 12 by 22 he drew at. And we could just take a look here and see how cool all this stuff is. This is like an 8-inch panel basically by about 5.5, a little more than a quarter of an inch gutter space. But yeah, you can look at this here and you know this guy was a master. You look at how he handled his pen, paintbrushes, everything. See how clean this stuff is? This is gorgeous. I could sit and stare at this book, I don't know, for years probably, and just learn staring at this. Anyway, let me bring this down. This is one of the coolest things I've ever spent my money on. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to have it now. And this will be some early morning reading. when I'm in the studio, along with the DC, uh, whatever it's called there, the style guide, at least for a while. So, like I said, I've been into doing some fantasy art stuff. I've been I started re-listening to a Lord of the Rings podcast that I liked. Um, and I'm going to have some new pieces for Twin Tiers Comic Con this weekend, which is up in Elmira, New York, if you're there. And I did this mushroom piece, okay? And I want to put some characters around here. So I want to think about the type of characters, and that's what I'm going to sketch. I may not have a full piece done, but tomorrow this will be done. So let me put this mushroom piece off to the side here. And I want to grab a piece of tape, and I'll just leave it here. And this. So I want to keep this kind of fun, lighthearted, a little silly, if I can. Where's my water? So let me just make sure my erasers are near. Whoa, there we go. One of my kneaded eraser had a giant, I don't know, something, piece of hair attached to it. So, it's not mine. So yeah, I was thinking, like, I like to design the characters. So when I think of these types of characters, it's like, what kind of stuff am I looking at? So, for the most part, I'm thinking elves, fairies, or just creatures that may not normally exist. It could be even a mushroom style creature. So I'm just going to play around with some designs, and I want to kind of stay in that feel that I like to work in of that European Franco-Belgian stuff, where I look at like Peo and why am I blanking on his name now? The guy who did like Asterix and stuff. Those are the ones that I really love. So I'm just going to be sketching. If you guys have any questions or comments, want to say anything, feel free to chat. Feel free to ask. I think this one will be more of kind of like an elf character. Ooh, pen point broke. So how's everyone doing tonight? Tomorrow I'm gonna have just so you know, to watch Get in Tune, I'm gonna have Rick Keenan. He's done some awesome work, had an awesome career in comics. He's worked on a bunch of stuff. I don't want to give too much away because I really want you guys to tune in and find out more about him. I don't want to give him away, but if you go on my YouTube channel, which you're on, don't leave this right now, but later you look at what is it called? You look at the stream for tomorrow that I have set up. and read his bio, you're going to see he's done some really cool stuff. I got to get the camera set up on the other side so that you can, my right hand doesn't cover what I'm doing. But now that I have it set up, you know, plugged into a new spot, I might be able to do it. I was going to look into an adapter for it to extend. But I don't think I'll need it now. I just want to move it to the other side of the board so you guys can see better. I do want to start streaming more. I have the time right now. I'll be opening up commissions very soon. Let's give him a little hair there. So that could be like an elf that pops out from, like what I'm seeing is, and I don't want to draw on here, but like what I'm thinking is I could have somebody kind of peeking out over here, and that might be cool to have something like that. Or like I said, maybe a mushroom style creature. So let's see. So it looks like it's almost like part of there, right? And maybe let's bring his hand in this way, so that'd be here, and his fingers would be. All right. Let's give him, you know, because the mushrooms, I don't know what they call this part of it here that they have that hangs down underneath. But I can turn that into like a beard. So maybe this is, I would change his positioning, but maybe this will come in and hang down kind of low, and I'll give him a little bit of a mustache to add to it. And what I'll do is I'm going to change this. So it's going to come out like that. Yes, I got an elf there, and now I'm going to doing this little mushroom-esque character. I think there's a little bit of a lag between what I do on my drawing and what you guys see or hear. It might be a second. I don't know. I might even add some of that over and give him a little like old man hair here. You know, I'm going to move one. I was going to try to make him kind of this shyish character, but what I think I might want to do is let's move this hand. You know, maybe because he's old, I'll give him like a, you know, he holds a cane or something. Let's get him a tree branch here. Or not a branch, but a little twig, right? Maybe it's got a little bit of a leaf on there. Now, I want to make sure I'm not stealing any ideas. I know, and I've read it a couple of times. I know there was a mushroom style character, I believe, in one of the Smurf books. There was a book called Smurf Monsters, and I hope I'm not just stealing something I remember here. It's been a while since I've read it. I just know that it exists because it's somewhere in my bookshelf behind me. I just don't know where. But that could be a good character. So I got the elf, I got this mushroom character here. I want to get a better angle for you guys. I'm not going to attempt to move anything tonight, but let's get... I don't know why tonight is so difficult to lift paper. Let's move that over here. Let's do like a fairy. Should she be a little sexy or? Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Right. Let's see here. Let's bring that down. And now so I got that. Let's base her clothing on maybe leaves, right? Some, or should it be like a I don't know, let's think like maybe like some tree bark in places. So we'll have some small, maybe around. I know it doesn't look like, it's just a loose sketch right now, but maybe she's got some tree bark here around her legs, maybe off on her shoulders, kind of like a shoulder pad type of thing here. But we'll do it on both, right? And we'll give her some cloth. Pen point broke there. My vacation was nice, Dylan. Thanks for asking. It was a lot of driving. I'll give her kind of like a sash, and we'll give her her dress, that will be maybe based on the leaves. And this will be based on leaves and stuff right there. And now we'll give her bare feet, so she'll have toes right there. And now thinking about her wings, they would come off of the shoulder blade. So if I think about it, it'd be right here, this shoulder blade. So the wings would come up. And we're just going to come up with some wings right here. I don't want them to be like fly wings, though, so I do want to design them a little nicer. They come in here, maybe they come out more like a butterfly type of wing. And then I can play with some design. Let's just make some crazy pattern in here. I was drawing Doctor Strange's cape or something. So I got these 3 characters here that would totally fit within here. So what I'm going to do right now is kind of play around. I'm going to move this to the side. Let's take this off. Get my light box here. I'm going to turn this off. And how is it that you guys see it? You guys can see that, I think. So now to play around with it, I think what I would do, I think I want to use the old man coming out of over here, kind of peeking out. So he's going to be right down here. And I'm going to hunch him over more, like I'm probably going to add some rocks and things too, just some pebbles around him, maybe some higher grass there. But let's put the cane, his staff in this arm here. And I want him to be holding on to one of the strands of grass. So I might have to add in another strand or just move it into another place. So that's in there. Let's just make sure that strand is right there. And I'm going to have his eyes kind of looking up at the fairy. And I had this nose right here. And then let's have the hair a little bit kind of go underneath here. Let's make that so it's not so uniformed. Let's see. I don't remember. Then I'm going to put his staff. Let's have his thumb up like that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the leaf on this side. And this side is going to get a little more shadowed. Little twig. Maybe I'll even add a little cut into it. And I'll put the fairy maybe up here. Let's have her sitting. So that would be the chest, the ribs. Okay. You know what? Let's do it like this. Let's have her kind of looking. This will be her head. She'll be looking this way, but she'll be laying kind of like so. All right. So maybe we'll make this side go up more so she could have maybe her hand in there, her body. I think I made her too big. Let's shrink her down a little bit. This is why I like working digitally though, so I can scale all this stuff up, and sometimes I'll just print. But you know, I have been more and more traditional lately. You know, I do like digital, but I've been wanting more traditional, and I don't know why that is. I think, you know, like I said, I think at one point I wanted to be off the screens a lot more than I have been because of my day gig, which hold on, there we go. Okay, I think let's just make it like that. I'll have her shoulder here. Her arm will come up like so. And just looking, did I miss any comments? No. Okay. Let's have this leg. I don't know what I want that arm to do, but maybe her right leg is up, right? And her left leg is up as well, and it's going to be hanging over the foot, and it's a little bit over the, you know, over there, and let's point it, right? We're gonna have her arm maybe just out on here. So her body is twisted like so. I gave her a dress. We got to make sure the dress falls and covers, right? Actually, it would probably fall more along here. I'll have to figure that out. But you know, that might mess up how her wings go, right? Because then the wing would have to come out over here. While this one, because the body is turned, the shoulder blade would be going out like so. So I don't think that position's going to work for her. Let me erase that. Whoops. Give me a second. I dropped my kneaded eraser. Oh, crap. Where'd that go? Just don't fall under my radiator. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. So let's bring back. Let's think of some fairy poses. I like the idea that he's looking up at her. And the thing is, do I want her? How do I want my story to go with her? Should she be looking off into another direction? I kind of want her looking, even if she's not looking at him, I kind of want her looking down, so I'm not pushing your eye off the page and making you look somewhere else. So I want to keep her eye there. So if I have her sit right here, because I like that spot for her to sit. And maybe one arm, one leg, I mean, is up. The other leg, that's too not ladylike. Let's see. So if that's that, maybe her body, her head could be looking down. No. What if I have her laying more like this, kind of like, all right, let's put her body right here. And then this would be her ribs. Leg, one would be up like so. Maybe we don't see the other right now. Maybe she has her hands kind of crossed and she's laying on that. And then her wings. So we wouldn't really see the other leg. Okay. Maybe over here, I'm just thinking I might actually make it that there are two blades of grass on the mushroom character there that he's holding. So maybe she's just kind of just eyes closed. Maybe she's just taking a break and resting. And then her arm would come over. I know it's a little messy right now. Where's my kneaded? Just do a little erasing. Hopefully this doesn't mess it up. I'm going to bring the camera down a bit so you guys can see what I'm drawing here. Let's see if I turn this. So I don't want to mess up. Let me hold the shelf that it's attached to because the shelf ain't great. All right, you guys, I think can see that better now. And I'm not really liking it. Again, this is the stuff I'm never happy with my work. All right. So let me grab my phone real quick. I'm going to look up some fairy poses, you know, like common poses for fairies. So I've seen a couple where it's almost like they're kneeling, or they're kind of sitting on the edge. Give me one more moment. I'm just looking here. Yeah, a lot sit like that. I guess there's only a few poses that really look good, and I really shouldn't trying to be pushing outside of some traditional design, you know. This is kind of what I was going for, but it's not really what I'm looking at here. She could just be standing on it, like she's landing. There's always a few of them looking like they read books, you know, or they're just enjoying relaxing. Yeah, that was the first kind of pose I was going for. All right, let's give it another try. That's why pencils have erasers. Hey there, Joker. So I'm going to put her, maybe I'll raise her. I kind of like the idea of her down here. Oh, what if I do this? Put her head over here, right? And now make it look like so this one will be up higher and the foot will be here. This foot will be here. Maybe this arm will be out. This one maybe on her stomach, right? Unless her stomach would be down here. And then her wings would be coming in and out. So Joker, I'm working on an idea for a little cartoony fantasy piece here. So earlier today, just so you can see better, I drew this mushroom background. And now I'm working on and then on the stream tonight, I created some designs of characters that I thought could be cool to put in the picture. I'm only going to use this mushroom old man here and this fairy, but I'm probably going to change up the look of the fairy a little bit. So I have it on my little light box and I'm just drawing. I could be using tracing paper, which would probably be easier, especially to see out of. But with all my erasing, I think I would destroy the tracing paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn her head this way now. So let me turn her head like she's looking in this direction, but let's put the... All right, so let's bring the leg up. I didn't want to go up. I want to shorten that up on her. So let me do some erasing. No, it's not going to be animated. I don't animate right now. I don't really have the software to do it, nor do I have the time to animate. This is just going to be an original pen and ink piece, but I'm working on an idea, something that does deal with, if you want to just call it fey creatures, you know? And that'll be on the other side, so we don't see that. So I've been playing around with a bunch of ideas for like a fantasy story. I'm always playing around with different ideas for stories. Let's just give her a little smile right now. I think I want to do her wings much more butterfly-esque. There, this arm would be over here coming out. And then this hand would be like so. You know, one day I'd like to get back into animation, but I really just, honestly, I just love like illustration and comics so much that I don't know if I'll ever get back to me actually animating, but I would like to get involved in the animation business again, whether I'm writing or doing designs or something. That would be cool. And it doesn't have to be for like a big movie or TV show. I started my career doing character designs for educational video games. You know, like kid software back when we had CDs. So I think I might be fun to go back into that. I actually love the world of education. How would that other wing come out? So that should be flat, like right here. Just see a little bit of it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna fix this up a lot better when I'm off of here. You know, with how I want her to look. So if that hand is out like that, hold on. So the thumb would be over here. Let's bring the thumb up. Maybe her fingers come up too. I don't know. Maybe I'll give her 5 fingers since it's kind of got a human characteristics more. We won't see the other. Let's you know what? Let's actually do this to the hand. What if it's just laid out like so, and then the thumb would be out over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that little right there. I would have a sash that I had on her, so the sash would fall over here. We'll put her eyes down here, almost like she's looking at the guy there. Her hair maybe coming down. That is just flowing off down here. Let's just say you should get a job with, I don't have my glasses. WKNO. I don't know who that is off the top of my head. WKNO. It's getting hot. And then I don't know what, I'll just do some circles in here or whatever right now, some crazy pattern. And here I'll probably figure that out when I ink it in. I could even, how would this look if I raised her hand up, right? Almost like she's waving at him. 1, 2, 3. Oh, PBS Kids. Oh. Something to think about. I am available for work. See, I think this would look good. So what I will do, actually, I'm kind of happy with this. I mean, I might want to clean her up more and redesign her what do you call it? Her outfit, because I made that one kind of based on trees and leaves, the other design. So I may want to incorporate that or take it off and do something else. Hold on, I'm getting some. Just give me 1 second. Don Bluth, thank you. That is a big compliment. I am a huge Don Bluth fan. I actually had, oh, wait, I think I took it down because I didn't have room for it. I moved it into another part of my house because my wife is a fan as well. A while back, Don Bluth was running a Kickstarter or crowdfunding for something. I don't remember what it was. And then it failed, and then he ran it on another service, and I backed it. But as one of the rewards, I got an autographed print from Don Bluth and God, the other guy, I can't remember his name now, but the guy who I think helped produce it and whatever. And I have a picture of Fievel, and it was a nice print, a Fievel print. And so instead of, it used to actually be, again, afraid to move, but you see where I have my Mitor model sheet, it used to be right there. Now it's out outside in my hallway or my living room or something, because my wife's a big fan of Fievel. So, whoops, wrong, went too far. So, but I think this will work out. And what I'm going to do right now is, let me take this off, put my regular light back on so we can see things a little better. Where's my tape? I'm going to tape this down together. I'll do the bottom as well. And I have, where is it? Where is it? Here it is. So I have this 9x12 paper, and what I'll do is, I can do it right now, but I tend to wait for my larger light box. I have one that fits my whole drawing table. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to center it the best I can on here. And I'm going to have to redo it because it fell. That looks kind of centered right there. If I have to adjust it, I will. But I'm going to add a piece of tape over here and a piece of tape at the bottom. And now, I don't know, that other light box I was using, I don't know how strong it is to show you, but what I'll do tomorrow is I will go on my regular light box. Yeah, you can't really see through it right now. It's too thick of a paper. But I'll go on my regular light box and I'll trace this. And then this will be a piece that's available at the Twin Tiers Comic-Con this weekend in Elmira, New York. And will be available for sale. My water, where's that? I need that again. And I hate living in an apartment where they automatically turn on the heat and I have no control over it. My drawing table is right next to my heater, my radiator in here. And no matter having the windows open in like 40-degree weather and a fan blowing on me, it is still incredibly hot. Give me 1 second. I dropped my eraser. There we go. I think I'll do just a quick sketch of something before I get going for the night. And in the meantime, don't forget, while I go grab a sheet of paper, this is where you can find me. I really got to re-clean my studio. I feel like I'm cleaning my studio every day. I really do. This place just gets messy. Joker, yes, I have Rick Keene coming on. I'd have to go on a page and I can read you his bio. Let me open up my email where he sent me his bio. That because that is a YouTube video I want to watch. And I'm going to need my glasses on. So I'll read you his bio right now. I was going to try to get back to doing my Instagram stories where I talk about my guests on the same day. So let's see. Rick Keene began his comic career in 1989 at DC Comics, where he worked continuously for 35 years. A trailblazer in the field of comic art reconstruction, Keene has resurrected and restored thousands of pages of Golden and Silver Age comics for the DC Archive editions and Omnibus series, as well as providing both reconstruction work and original artwork designs for numerous titles published by Disney Comics and Gemstone. He has also created original artwork for special projects at DC, including lithographs for Batman the Animated Series and 3D renderings of DC characters for Hasbro's Total Justice line. Outside the world of superheroes, Keene has contributed illustration and essays to a wide range of venues, including Van Halen's official website and editor Bob Stewart's The Life and Legend of Wallace Wood. He is a writer, illustrator, and publisher of the ongoing comic book adventures of his own original character, Willie Weasley. And that is his bio. So it's the fairy. Thanks, man. So yeah, that's Rick's bio. I'm excited to chat with him. He sounds like an amazing guy. I do own DC Archives. I don't know if they were the restored versions that he worked on. I'm going to have to ask him because I have, like, I think the original archives that came out. I do remember the Total Justice line, so I think I actually had a couple of figures from that. So that's pretty interesting. So he's got a lot of work that part of my childhood, and I always love talking to people like that because they are my they are the inspirations that I that helped me get into the industry and the stuff that I loved looking at. And I know that I showed this earlier. Joker, you weren't on here, but this is a giant Carl Barks Comics and Stories original art edition. That is not his Disney stuff. This is his, like, droopy and that that type of stuff. I think I want to do a video specifically on this book and discuss this. It's really cool. I just want to look through it more before I do that. But that's another thing that's inspiring to me. Yeah, the dude seems awesome. I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. But let me do some sketching. I'm going to turn the other light on. Let me take my glasses off. Yeah, whoa, that thing is awesome. I got it when I was in Florida last week. I went down to the Fort Lauderdale area, and a half hour from Fort Lauderdale is a town called Laudenhill, Laudenhill, I think it's called. And there's a comic shop in there, Tate's Comics. If you're in that area, you need to check it out. It's probably one of the most amazing comic shops I've ever been in. I also went in Orlando, I also went to Gods and Monsters, which I think is a great comic shop. I've been to 3 comic shops in Orlando in my time visiting, and Gods and Monsters is my favorite that I've been in. Not that the others were bad, just there was something special about Gods and Monsters. But yeah, so anyway, like I said earlier today, I started re-listening to a Lord of the Rings podcast. It's the Prancing Pony podcast. If you ever listen to it, I love, Lord of the Rings. I love, all that type of stuff. And it's a fun podcast. And they get into it a little intellectually sometimes, which is very cool in my opinion. And breaking down how Tolkien wrote and thought, and it's very interesting. It's been around since like 2017, I think, so, or 16. You guys should check it out. But yeah, that's what inspired me to kind of work on some fantasy pieces, was listening to the podcast today. But let's do I guess let's do a hobbit or a halfling, so let's bring this up so you guys can see it better. I think let's see, what can he be doing? Let's actually, you know what? Let's change this position so he's more forward, has more of a belly. All right. So that's his, let's make that. Yeah, that feels better for a hobbit body now. Mm. Okay, let's bring that up so you can kind of see him. And I'll just keep him standing right here for now. And tomorrow, if I decide to do anything with him, I'll put him in a specific pose. Okay, so let's I know I made him look a little evil, huh? With the eye, I just wanted to darken it up so I could see it better. It's smiling. You know what? Painting, I want to start getting back into it. I know how to paint. I understand painting, but being colorblind has never been my strong suit. I've always worked better in black and white, pen and ink. Um, I know how to use colored pencils pretty well. That was always kind of my go-to. I know how to blend. I know how to do all this stuff. It just I don't use the right colors all the time, you know. Um, and so I'd love to get into like watercolor again. I really love watercolor. I remember, I'm pretty sure it was back in the '90s. Who was it? Why am I blanking on his name? The guy who did the Power Shazam comic in the '90s. It's gonna bother me. I gotta look it up because you know what? It's one of those things where I'm having a brain fart tonight. But he's always been one of my favorite artists. Power of Shazam artist Jerry Ordway. I knew it began with a J. I'm sorry. And he did the first however many issues in watercolor, and I thought it was some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen. And I started picking up watercolor back then, and I started using some inks as well. But so yeah, yeah, I'm colorblind. I have what's called or what I don't know if it's the real term, but my doctor referred to it once as shade blindness. I see colors, but when they start blending, I have trouble telling them apart. It's one of the reasons I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy, because everything matches with that, you know. And you know, I don't dress, you know, crazy and you know, I was just at the doctor's yesterday, and when I went to the lab for blood work, and I'm fine. It was just a routine checkup, and when I went to the doctor, the lab technician said, "Go sit in the green chair." And I had to ask her which is green because I saw it as gray. Um, and she was like, the chair over here. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't, that wasn't what I saw it as. And she was like, oh, sorry, she didn't know. And it's not like common knowledge when someone's colorblind, you have to let them know. But yeah, no, I do. That's how it is all the time. I have a sweater that I love. And when I would work at a college, it was like my everyday like sweater. I'd wear it just around if it got cold in the classroom, whatever it was. And to this day, I still see it as gray, but my wife tells me it's beige, and I'm like, oh, okay, Uh, so, um, uh, yeah, I'm always asking and when I color, like I have a friend who loves how I color my comics, and he can't believe, number one, I do it myself. Number two, that I'm colorblind, you know? And the thing is, if you look at my work, I tend to work in very bright colors because I see those better. So I don't work in a lot. I don't really work in muted colors. I don't work in a lot of, you know, I don't get artsy. I just I stay very bright. Like if I'm coloring for kids. And I know they don't really wear a tie, but I'm going to give him like kind of like an ascot. Put some pockets right here. This lead is coming down. There we go. I was going over, I was looking up some Lord of the Rings like artwork today, and though I love, who was it? Why am I blanking? I'm so bad with names tonight. The guys who did the movies, is it Andy? Not Andy Lee, Alan Lee, right? Is it Alan? Hold on. This is gonna bother me. I got the books right over here. Yeah, Alan Lee. And there's the other guy. I don't have his book, but a lot of great artwork in that. But I started looking again at what was probably my first introduction to like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which was it was either the Rankin Bass or the Bakshi stuff. Because I never had the chance to read the book. I have always had an issue reading, which is why I tend to read comics more. And when I tried to read the books, I remember taking them out of the library when I was a kid, whether it was the school library or like my public library, I don't remember. But the he's a real estate agent for Mythical. Dude, you just gave me a whole comic idea right there. But yeah, I always felt Tolkien with my reading issue was a little I won't say a little, was a lot tough for me. So I never really read the books. I've listened to them through audio. I would love to actually read them myself, but I don't know if that's going to work out ever. But I do love it so much. I listen to a lot of podcasts about, and it's not just about Lord of the Rings, it's about Tolkien in general, but I listen to a lot of like YouTube videos that discuss the lore and understanding everything, and that is a big knuckle right there. I don't like that. I will fix that later. And so, but yeah, no, going back and looking at the Bakshi and the Rankin Bass stuff, I loved that style as a kid. I actually have a poster. I forget who did it. Was it Bakshi who did Lord of the Rings, and Rankin Bass did The Hobbit? I don't remember right now, but I got a Lord of the Rings poster, from the cartoon up on my wall on the other side of my room. Actually, every wall in my studio has a Lord of the Rings themed piece of art or Hobbit piece of art. And the guy, is it Wetzel, who drew the comic of The Hobbit. I have like 3 pieces. I met him at a show I remember in Connecticut many years ago, and I just really had to have some of his artwork. So, okay, we're going to make this a little more fantasy. Use the idea for a comic. I hope you get famous for. I hope I get famous for any of the ideas you or anyone else gives me. That I'm using. Or I just hope I can sell a book. That's really the goal. Sell the book, right? There he is. I could have put a little cloak on him or something. Maybe let's make this. You know what? I know they usually probably would hold their hand out too, but let's give him a pipe, right? We're chewing on. Could have had him chewing on some weed or something there, whatever that was called. But I need a name for him if he's the. Let's call him the real estate. It's ES, right? I know you. Yeah. Real estate. I'll say to the to the Fae. So he just needs a name now. Let's just sign that real quick. What would be a fun name for him? I kind of like Greg. I think I'll call him Greg. Greg, halfling real estate agent to the Fae. I feel I need to make him look a little scummier, though. Not that real estate agents are bad people. I had a really good one that helped me out get this place, but you know, it's I got other stuff I'm working on. I don't know if you saw this, Joker. I'll show it off here. But as I mentioned, I'm working on my 70s manga inspired comic. I meant to get to it a couple of weeks ago, but I've just been busy with some other projects. So I'm hoping that, you know, after I come back from the show on Monday or Tuesday, I can start working on it. But this right here is the, let's not screw this up again. This is the mock cover to it. So that's the robot that's in the story, and this is the family that'll be on the robot. Now, I think you might have heard me talk about the character designs at some point. And I wanted the father to look, or he was inspired, and I think I'm going to go personality now, was inspired by this is the first time seeing my comics. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were on one of my other streams. Thank you very much. I really liked the father on the show, Young Sheldon. And for a while I tried to kind of design him and go a little more cartoony with this series idea. And it's only going to be maybe 5 or 6 chapters. I don't have the ending yet. I mean, I have the ending to the story. I don't have it written out, but each chapter is going to be about 20 pages. And it just wasn't fitting for me. So I thought, and the way I look at it, I think in my eyes, if a parent does the job, you should be looking at your parents as superheroes, you know? And so what I did was I kind of thought, how would Superman look in a 70s manga? And then I threw a beard on him. And that's how I came up with the father. And then the rest are just kind of based off the other character designs that I had. So the mother, the daughter, the son, and then the dog and the cat that are part of the story. So, but yeah, so this is I'm not saying this is the final cover, but this was kind of something I keep around as inspiration when I work on the story. Put that back. Whoa. So, all right, guys. Yes, yes, you saw when I was with Ralph. That's right. You were watching it with Ralph, and I was just kind of screwing around, drawing, really watching him draw. Um, and but yeah, no, I hope to anyway. I hope to start streaming again real soon. I'm hoping if I can do daily, I'll do daily. But as long as I can get like one or two drawing streams a week, I'll be happy. As well as my Get in Tune. So my Wednesday night, I think I'm booked every Wednesday. I'm the only day I don't have the only Wednesday I don't have booked this month is the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and that's because a lot of people, they either are traveling or they're doing the cooking and they're prepping. So I may not do a show Wednesday, and I'm actually doing the cooking for Thanksgiving. So I may not even do a show, or if I do, maybe I'll just stream and draw and talk about, do a quick one and talk about stuff. Um, how many? Oh, I haven't done anything in the manga yet. I have no volumes yet. I have the first chapter written out. I have the next two chapters outlined in bullet points, basically saying this happens page 1 to 3, and this happens on page 4 through 7. So it's the first three are out, and I'll tell you right now, the first story is them finding and getting on the robot. The second story is more is some history that will be interesting to be uncovered, that starts being hinted at in the first story. So I'm not going to give anything away, but by number 3 it becomes I don't want to say it's in the concept phase. It's definitely plotted out that I know how the last chapter is going to end. And the way I work is as I finish one story, since I haven't actually drawn it out, I start writing towards the end so I can get the feel of the script again, because I work on different projects and I'm jumping around. So I have like I said, I have the first 3, well, the first one written, the second 2 and 3 plotted. But in my head, I already have it, knowing exactly what it's going to look like, but I don't write straight through. I write as I finish up a chapter, so that is right in my head as I finish up a book. And if I want to be right on top of, so how do I explain? So for example, I end chapter 1 and one of the characters says something. After I finish lettering it, I go straight into writing the next story, because the story's so fresh in my head and the dialogue is so fresh in my head. I don't have to get back into the character's train of thoughts and all that. So I wait until I finish to move on to the next. So that's there. And I know what's going to happen in the 4th. And the question is, the way I end the 4th, do I need 5 and 6, or do I just end it in 5? That's really what's unfinished. And so it's, the drawings are like I said, I'm so visual, everything is right there. I know how I want every scene to look. So I wouldn't say it's still in concept. It's there. It's just, it's finished in my head. It's not finished on paper. That's the best way to put it. Because I work differently for all my stuff. When I did my Wiz comic, that was like having conversations with the characters in my head. So I literally would just sit down and write what they were saying. It was a completely different thought process when I was writing when I was doing the Wiz comic. This one is, being that it's more of an ongoing story instead of jokes, I have to think differently for myself. Bunch of different work, but I will start. Um, I will start. I want to start streaming on my streams when I'm. Some of the drawing of the manga is some of the stuff um, I want to stream now. And by the way, I refer to it as a manga. Um, I'm not one of those people who really will call it. I don't want to call it. It's manga inspired, because it's going to be read, American, left to right. I'm not doing it backwards. I am. It may not follow 100% of manga storytelling, but it's inspired by all the anime and manga I grew up on. So it's definitely that way. So I don't know if it's more of an American comic. I don't know. But I will say I am also planning out panels that I can just swap. So if I want to digitally change it to be read in a traditional manga, from right to left, excuse me, I could do that as well. Excuse me. I mean, it's because, this is something I used to talk about with my students and a lot of stuff, and other people. It's like when you hear the term manga or anime. Manga just means comic. Anime just means animation, cartoon, whatever you want to call it. And we here in America want to separate the terms to say this is something Japanese. It's a special thing, but it's a comic. It's a cartoon. It's nothing different than what we have here. It's just really what it is. It's a different form of storytelling, and I'm trying to incorporate that storytelling methods, but I'm still bringing an American flair to it. So I don't want to call it manga per se, but it's just a comic. I'm one of those people. I have issues with people labeling things. Like, back in the 90s, anime was, before it was called anime here, people referred to it as Japanimation. I don't know if you remember that. I remember hearing that on, what was that on? Some commercials or whatever. So even though I love, like for me, let me just pull something. This right here is a manga because I have to read it backward. I haven't even read it. Still has this on there, but I've read a little bit, but not from this book. But you can see here, this one goes backwards, right? When you look at it, which is gorgeous artwork. But then if you pull, where is it? Number 1 right here. Blade of the Immortal. If we read it, this one is set up traditional, American style here. So is this really a manga because of the style it's drawn in? Yes or no? I don't know. Was this done and switched? I don't remember. But I'm just looking. So you got to consider, how is it? Okay. Let me see what you say, because I want to just put this book back on the shelf. I'm going to start on this probably in the next week or so. In the anime community, we call anime manga only for slang instead of calling it Japanese cartoon or comic. Yeah, but like one of the things, like when I was a kid, one of my favorite cartoons was like, I love Star Blazers. I love Tranzor Z, which, in Japanese was Mazinger Z. I loved Voltron. I grew up on all those things. And to me, they were just called cartoons. Battle of the Planets, that was cartoon. That was a cartoon. I wasn't watching an anime. I wasn't watching anything. It wasn't until the 90s or early 2000s that people started, labeling it. So like, all the stuff I grew up on that would be considered anime or manga comics was a comic or a cartoon. So I don't, I'm not one into the label. It's like when people call a trade a graphic novel, that bugs the heck out of me. A trade is a collection of individual issues. A graphic novel is a book written specifically to be read in a large format, in the sense of, it's supposed to be 100 pages long, not just taking 5 issues and putting it together and getting 100 pages. So like I have issues with things like that. So it's not, it's a me thing. I will still refer to it certain ways for audiences I speak with, but that's just a me thing. I don't, the labels are confusing, and I don't think we need to separate cartoons and to anime or whatever. It's just personal preference, in my opinion, But with that, I need to start wrapping up because it is 9 o'clock over here almost, and I need to do my cool down drawing. I know this was just a I was doing artwork, but this wasn't my warm up. So just so you guys remember, this is how you can get me. I am starting next week. I'm opening up commissions. So if anybody is interested, holidays are coming. Oh, hold on. Let's see. What do you say, Joker? But newer people who's in the anime community get hissy about people calling manga a comic, but older fans okay. Yeah, no, you're right. I know. It's I don't know. It's like you're in a special club. I get it. It's the way it is. But like I was saying, if you guys want to get in any commissions in time for the holiday, traditional, digital, get to me very soon. You can start emailing me through my website over the weekend, or get me on any of my socials here to message me. As you can see, I draw a lot of different things, and I would need to, if you want it for a certain time of year, like say Christmas time, I'm going to need at least a month, a little less than a month, since it's, get me in the next 2 weeks. I can get it to you for Christmas time. So Joker, thanks for stopping in. Everybody who watched, thank you for stopping in. I know Dylan, I think you left, so thank you for tuning in as long as you could. I will see you all tomorrow night with Rick Keenan, and then I'll be doing some streaming. And if you're in the Elmira, New York area this weekend, please make sure to come to the Twin Tiers Comic-Con, where I will be there with some artwork, specifically that one piece I'm working on tonight. Yeah, I will see you all soon. I will talk to you later. Yeah, great talking to you too, Joker. All right. See you guys later. Good night.